There's a big sale at Half Price Books. Big sale at Half Price Books.
What's better than discovering the best in books, music, and movies at Half Price Books, saving 20% on everything you find? That's right. Shop Half Price Books this Friday through Monday and get 20% off your entire HPB haul. Find what you love and what you didn't even know you were looking for, all for 20% off. This Friday through Monday at Half Price Books and HPB.com.
Big sale at Half Price Books.
I'm Buck Blodgett. I'm the founder of the Love is Greater Than Hate project, and the name of the book is A Message from Jesse. It's available on Amazon.com.
We're talking today with Dr. Buck Blodgett about Love is Greater Than Hate project and also his book. And we're asking the question this morning that if a loved one was murdered, what would you do? Would you seek revenge or would you offer forgiveness? And I can't imagine telling and retelling the story as many times as you must have, but tell me what happened to Jesse.
You know, it's crazy. I never would have imagined either, but I can't get enough of telling this story. Trigger warning for our listeners today, it's graphic. The bottom line of what happened was on July 15th, 2013, Jessie, my 19-year-old daughter, was home alone, sleeping peacefully in her own bed on a Monday morning. It was right after me and Joy, my wife, went to work. And a friend of Jessie's who we knew pretty well, who had been in our home many times and was welcome in our home, who sat right next to Jessie in high school for 4 years. They were first and second chair violin in the orchestra and in all the musicals and plays together. He came in and went upstairs and attacked Jess in her sleep, and he hog-tied Jessie, gag-balled her, tape around her face and head to hold it, raped Jessie, and strangled her to death. That's what happened that launched the Love is Greater Than Hate project, and then what happened next is really what I came on your show to talk about today, but I'm happy to talk about Jessie and anything related.
Well, why did you, I would say, dredge all this up again, but you look at it differently, it seems.
I do. Never would have thought I would if you would have told me ahead of time this was coming. But I feel like the project launched itself, really. At her funeral, I spoke real briefly, and one of the things that came out of me, and I didn't know at the time why, I feel like I do now, was, honey, this has been a devastating blow, but your strength is in me too, and love will always be stronger than hate. I had no idea at the time how those words were going to resonate throughout the community and beyond, but about a month later, the fire chief called and wanted to do a community healing vigil event, and 500 people showed up at the mill pond in our small town in Wisconsin. And we walked for a couple hours, lit candles. There was a live band and a choir and the mayor and signs all along the path and a big banner in the pavilion in the park, and everybody had on a blue wristband that a friend spent $400 of her own money on. And the wristband, the banner, and the signs all said, love is greater than hate. And that night, on the 10 o'clock news, on all 4 news channels in Milwaukee, was Jessie's story, mission, and messages, and love is greater than hate. And I went to bed that night, and I knew that something just happened, and her legacy project was trying to be born, and I was supposed to do something about it.
It's a powerful way to grieve.
Very powerful. People say all the time to me, it must be very healing for you, and I say it is, but that's not the point. That's like the side effect. I don't forgive Dan and serve this mission and purpose.
Now, he's murdered your daughter, Dan.
Dan is the young man who's in jail for life now who killed Jessie. And healing, forgiveness is really healing. I don't do it for that. I don't think that's real forgiveness if I'm forgiving someone else in order to get something myself. I just do forgive him, and I'd love to explain that if you want me to go there. I don't want your listeners to think I'm nuts and I'm living on a cloud somewhere. I will never excuse Dan, but that's different from forgiveness and love.
Tell me a little about that.
Yeah. So I don't believe Dan should ever get out, and I don't say that because of vengeance or because I want to have him suffer or stick it to him or have him get his. I just think there isn't a professional alive who could guarantee that he wouldn't do it again. And, I'm sorry, if you're not safe to be amongst us in a free world, then we have to put you somewhere where you can't harm people who are innocent. But I can't explain this, Pat. I hope I can. Something happened inside me when this happened, when I got the phone call. And I just had this overwhelming and immediate sense that an act of such unbelievable cruelty and disregard for another human and their future and their fear and their pain and their suffering had to be met. To honor Jesse best and all of us best, it had to be met with an even more remarkable love and forgiveness. So I did.
I was thinking before doing this interview today that look at what we have in America today with all these mass shootings, and there's so much hatred bubbling around out there. Does the hatred we encounter in America today, does it scare you?
No, but I'm weird. I believe that it's
You're
always
weird.
darkest. I am. I think that it's always darkest right before the dawn. I think that this has been a huge wake-up call for me and our country, I believe. I think that most of us didn't sense the amount of hatred that there is and the amount of judging others that there is still in our world, in our country, in our communities. But I think, same thing with Dan and Jesse on a much larger scale in our country. This issue of male-on-female violence, which was never talked about in my lifetime, we didn't talk about it. The shroud of silence and secrecy around it is like the number one thing that has to get defeated for this to come to the light of day. And now, for the first time in our lifetimes, this is a white-hot national issue, and everybody's talking about it. And it has come to the light of day, and that's the first step. 90% of mastery is awareness. The first step is awareness and talking about it. And I think that's true with sexual assault. I think that's true with all of the hate and the issues in our country right now.
What do you think it'll take to reduce violence against women and just the hatred that is there in America today?
First of all, I want everybody to know that I'm not an expert. I'm an expert at one thing in life. I'm a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. I'm just a dad who wants to do something. I'm on a learning curve here. Learned a lot in 6 years. Have a lot more to learn. I believe that nobody knows the answer to that question yet, or else we wouldn't have this problem anymore. I think the answer is emerging, though. I think the more aligned intention put on this issue, which has been happening for a long time, and it's reaching a crescendo, in my opinion, the closer we'll be to solving it. And, I think one of the biggest things we fight is cynicism. I think a lot of people hear me and think, dude, I love what you're trying to do, but come on, you're crazy. You're never going to end violence against women. Well, yes, we are. We haven't yet, but, we were never going to end slavery until we did, and we were never going to end apartheid until we did, and women were never going to have the right to vote until they did, and we were never going to have democracy where there was a government by the people until we did in the world. We were never going to get to the moon and cross the ocean until we did. We'll get this one, too. But this is the hardest one yet, in my opinion, and it's going to take a lot of people and a long time, and we won't stop until we get there.
How important do you think a father as a role model is, especially to show sons how they should treat women?
More important than I can put into words. We form our personalities, our core personalities in life by age 2, I understand. Again, I'm just a chiropractor, but not that people can't change and not that there's not neuroplasticity and malleability and we can all learn. But, parenting is everything and environment is everything, especially early in life. We know, we've got tons of data on this for decades now, that children who grow up in homes where they see sexual and physical violence are statistically far more likely to commit it when they grow up and have homes of their own. And even in a peaceful home, parents set the expectation for grades and curfew and work ethic and values and everything. And our kids watch us and, they do what they see, not what we say. And so whether it's conscious or unconscious, and I think mostly right now it's unconscious, parents teach their kids how boys treat girls. In my generation, Pat, and I'll be 60 on my next birthday, dads rarely talk directly with their sons about how a man treats his wife, how a man treats his daughter, how boys treat girls. And, it's 2019 now, and this is a white-hot national issue now, and it's time for that. It's time for parents to do that.
What about the goal of Love is Greater Than Hate, the Love is Greater Than Hate project?
People can find out about us on social media. We're on Instagram and Facebook. On Facebook, it's the Love is all capital Love greater than symbol hate project. The Love is Greater Than Hate project with a greater than symbol. We have a website too, LIGTH. That stands for Love is Greater Than Hate, LIGTH.org. We have a dual mission: end male and female violence, inspire love over hate. And we do a lot of things. Three main things we do. The main thing we do is media outreach. We're not a service organization with food and shoes and clothing for Africa and South America. We're a message organization. We're trying to transform culture. So we have this radio campaign. That's why I'm talking with you today, and print media campaign and TV documentaries and things like that. We also have a local project, though, at Jesse's High School to produce measurable change. That's probably the best thing that we're doing right now.
And how are you doing, and how is your wife doing all these years later?
Oh, thank you for that question, because, I think most people who this has never happened to think that at some point you got to move on and get over it, right? And time does not heal all wounds. This is one of those that I believe only love heals and time doesn't. We got a lot of love from a lot of people. I'm doing great. Like I said before, I'm a little crazy. I just, a purpose found me in life, and that's everything. And people who are traumatized, which, by the way, my personal opinion is all of us, and nobody's getting out of this life without a whole bunch of small traumas and a few big ones too. But if we find a purpose and a reason to some way to contribute to others and have life be about others instead of ourselves, it gets much easier to deal with trauma. So I'm doing great. Joy's doing great. We grieve in almost opposite ways. I'm real public. I need to talk about this and do something. She's private. She needs her own space. But we're both doing okay.
I'm so glad. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about this and for just talking about it, period. I so appreciate it, and we're going to get out the word.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for having me and Jesse on your show today. This is a gift to me. I appreciate it, too. Thank you, Pat.